Now let's talk about the war in Iran and revelations on a stalemate. President Trump posted on social media this morning saying there are no talks or conversations going on or scheduled with the Islamic Republic of Iran. He also says that Strait of Hormuz remains open and that all mines in the water have been removed or detonated. Let's talk live to CBS News White House reporter Olivia Rinaldi. Good to see Olivia once again. So does no talks mean no hope for this war ending anytime soon?
Reed, it is a good question and one that everyone is trying to answer. Just really, what is the situation in the Strait of Hormuz? If they aren't talking and the president is threatening to bomb Oman, who is talking with the Iranians about a way to just try to reopen the strait, well, then what is really the path forward? What are we talking about here? We know that the Omanis have said that they are somewhat close to a deal with the Iranians. And this, again, is that deal that we have been discussing, that there would be a pathway in the water, essentially close to the coast of Iran. There would be one also on the coast of Oman, and that is how ships would transit through the strait. The president has said he doesn't like that idea because he doesn't even want to give the Iranians somewhat of a control over the strait. So this morning on True Social, when he said there's no conversation happening, but rest assured everything's okay because the blockade is in place and there are no mines. Well, we don't know that there are no mines yet, and there certainly is that blockade that is still in place to try to squeeze the Iranians from an economic standpoint. But that doesn't mean that this conflict is going to be over anytime soon. That is certainly the question we are all asking, is just what is the expectation for the next several weeks, months of this conflict, especially as we know they are moving out some soldiers, some sailors that are in the region and bringing in a new aircraft carrier strike group as well.
Well, speaking of conflicts that have gone on weeks and months, let's move the map a little bit and talk about Gaza and Israel. We know the president's son-in-law met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Do we know if anything concrete came out of that meeting to see some resolutions in Gaza?
Yeah, and that meeting came after we saw Jared Kushner speak with some of the leaders of Hamas as well. He went over to Cairo to talk with them about trying to keep that fragile peace deal moving along. If you'll remember, I believe it was last week, perhaps the week before, where the Board of Peace had announced there was a deal to move into that next phase where essentially Hamas would disarm rather, and Israel would, they would start the rebuilding process. But Israel has said, they just don't see that being something that's really going to happen in a fruitful way in an effort to make them, move forward on the peace deal. So Jared Kushner went yesterday. He spoke with Netanyahu. He did talk to Fox News and, he was asked if Netanyahu had changed his thinking on the plan, and Kushner had said, I think his perception of the plan, we had a very good meeting today. It was a 4-hour meeting, he said, going through different details, and said that there were a lot of concerns that Netanyahu raised, and they went through some of the misunderstandings and misinformation, as Kushner called it, about this deal, and said that they are committed to rebuilding Gaza, but it doesn't seem that there is any definitive path forward that they're going to pursue at this moment in time. Those conversations are still ongoing. It does seem like it's going to need a little bit more coaxing from the U.S. side to get Netanyahu fully on board. And just as a reminder, they're having those elections in Israel in October. That's coming up pretty soon, just in the next couple of weeks or so. So there is somewhat of an effort to perhaps wait until those elections to see what the path forward is for this situation with the Board of Peace and Gaza's future.
All right, Olivia Rinaldi, thank you so much. Good to see you, friend. Have a good day.